to Seattle Atheist Church. Atheists, agnostics, secular humanists, whatever you like to call yourself, you are welcome here. At Seattle Atheist Church, we call ourselves an atheist church because you will never hear anything supernatural promoted from the podium. So at Seattle Atheist Church, we are founded on the principles of scientific naturalism and secular ethics. Truth claims are attempted here, and we stand ready to revise our thinking in light of new information. We believe in being good to all conscious creatures, and we believe in good because good works in non-mysterious ways. If that sounds right to you, you are in the right place. And it is a gorgeous day here in Seattle, so thank you for showing up. Tomorrow we are going to have a picnic at Cowan Park. Details are on the meetup. I know we had some riders in the Emerald City ride this morning, and we are rebooting Children's Church. So I may have to miss this talk, but I will watch it on video because I'm really interested in this topic. Welcome Eva, and she's going to talk about issues of religious freedom, I think. Yeah? Come on up. Thank you. Hi, thank you.
So, people on video, I'm Eva Karlstrom. This talk is actually specifically about the Satanic Temple, which some of you may be familiar with the works of, and some of you may be completely surprised to be hearing me even talking about Satanists. So I hope in the course of this talk you'll see why I'm bringing them up. So they are very closely linked to the concept of religious freedom, and let me tell you a little about them. So the Satanic Temple was founded in 2013 in Salem, Massachusetts. At this point it has, I saw 19 chapters listed around the world. The biggest chapter's in Detroit. They have a spokesperson named Lucian Greaves that you may find writings by on the web. The Satanic Temple can be described as a religion. It can be described as a political activist organization, or it can be described as an affinity group. I found it listed as all those things in different places on the web, sometimes by different speakers within the Satanic Temple. They describe it different ways. To start with, they are atheists. They do not believe in God. They do not believe in Satan as an actual supernatural person. So getting that out of the way right off the bat. They use the literary or mythical figure of Satan or Lucifer as an image that they find inspiring as a model of critical thought and rebellion against authority, or specifically authoritarianism, unjust authority being imposed from the top down. They take that figure from works of the Romantic poets, such as Paradise Lost. And since they don't believe in the Christian structure that work was framed in, it doesn't have the same kind of meaning that it would have for a Christian saying, I'm going to take Satan as my person to emulate. They take a lot of political action. They do picketing, they hand out flyers, they put up billboards, they do a lot of fundraising for different causes. They've organized after-school clubs, had sculptures commissioned for display in public places. They've done public rituals and prayers and called lawsuits challenging cases where a particular religion, as far as I know all of the examples are Christianity, is being privileged in the public sphere. Here's a statement that they made about their mission. The mission of the Satanic Temple is to encourage benevolence and empathy among all people, reject tyrannical authority, advocate practical common sense and justice, and be directed by the human conscience to undertake noble pursuits guided by the individual will. Politically aware, civic-minded Satanists and allies in the Satanic Temple have publicly opposed the Westboro Baptist Church, advocated on behalf of children in public school to abolish corporal punishment, applied for equal representation where religious monuments are placed on public property, provided religious exemption and legal protection against laws that unscientifically restrict women's reproductive autonomy, exposed fraudulent, harmful pseudoscientific practitioners and claims in mental health care, and applied to hold clubs alongside other religious after-school clubs in schools besieged by proselytizing organizations. That's from their official website. So, one of the first things that I want to get out of the way here is there are a bunch of different groups that call themselves Satanists or Satanic or something related, so I want to sort out who these people are and aren't. There are theistic Satanists who do believe in Satan or Lucifer as a supernatural being, and call him Satan or Lucifer or sometimes Set. That, you know, people might identify that figure with the devil and they worship that figure. They might, even those people might still argue with you over the nature of that being. But the Satanic Temple is not in that group. They are atheistic Satanists. They are also not the Church of Satan. The Church of Satan, organized by Anton LaVey, in kind of a sort of a neo-pagan tradition of Satanism. They are also atheists, but they have a different philosophy. The Anton LaVey Church of Satan, they both use Satan as a powerful mythic figure of fighting against authority. And they both believe in personal freedom and rational thought as high values, but there's a core difference in independence versus interdependence. The Church of Satan is more like Ayn Rand's philosophy of everyone for themselves, do whatever you want, indulge yourself. And the Satanic Temple is very invested in the social contract and interdependence and making sure that everyone has what they need and their rights are being respected. So there's kind of a core difference in emphasis and relative importance of values there. So why would they call themselves Satanists? Probably going, well, okay, so far that sounds fine, but why would you say, okay, I'm a Satanist? There are a couple of really important reasons for that. Sometimes people think it's just a joke, or it's just to troll Christians and like tick people off. There is an element of that because that shock value has an important political purpose. But it also is a way of expressing some deep values that the Satanic Temple members hold, as far as not respecting a top-down authority that has not been accepted by everyone around. You know, if you weren't elected, what are you doing telling me what to do? If I didn't choose you, if I didn't decide that your values are mine. So taking that rebel figure from the popular culture and turning it around and saying, no, I like that guy, is actually a very important way of expressing their position. And in addition, you have the, oh my God, you're Satan worshipers. So they actually like that. I spoke to Lilith Starr, who is the head of the Seattle chapter. She founded it in 2014. She says that the Satanic Temple has no interest in becoming mainstream or being widely accepted, and they want to maintain that shock value because it has an important role in their political activities. When they set up an after-school club in a school that allows Christian clubs, a public school that allows a Christian club immediately after school, so kids can go right to that from school, that is creating a preferential treatment for a religion, almost as if it's a state religion. And one of the big causes of the Satanic Temple is to cut the feet out from under that kind of preferential treatment. Go, okay, you allow after-school clubs from religions? All right, we want to set one up. We are Satanists. We want to have an after-school Satan club. How's that? And if the school then says, okay, and lets them set it up, they set it up, and we keep running it. If the school says no, then they call a lawsuit. If the school says, actually, maybe we shouldn't have that after-school Christian club, Satanic Temple goes, great, that's what we wanted in the first place. They would actually rather have there not be religious content and honoring of religious symbols and laws in the public sphere. But as long as there is, they want theirs alongside the mainstream Christian ones. I've got, if anybody wants a copy of my notes, I can post them later because I've got like links on it, lots of details on these things. So here are the 7 tenets of the Satanic Temple. 1. One should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason. 2. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institutions. 3. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's will alone. 4. The freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully and unjustly encroach upon the freedoms of another is to forego your own. 5. Beliefs should conform to our best scientific understanding of the world. We should take care never to distort scientific facts to fit our beliefs. 6. People are fallible. If we make a mistake, we should do our best to rectify it and resolve any harm that may have been caused. And 7. Every tenet is a guiding principle designed to inspire nobility in action and thought. The spirit of compassion, wisdom, and justice should always prevail over the written or spoken word. When I spoke to Lilith yesterday, she specifically drew my attention to those last 2, saying that the Satanic Temple strives really hard not to become a cult of personality. They don't want anyone to start worshiping leaders of the church or thinking that those people have some kind of personal inspiration that sets them apart from the rest as far as understanding principles. So the 6th principle is all about everybody's fallible. I don't care who you are. Everybody makes mistakes. Anybody can misunderstand something. And the 7th one is, if there's any doubt about, if there's a conflict between the spirit and what we wrote down, go with the spirit. Don't get caught up on the exact phrasings. Another general principle, it wasn't part of the 7 tenets. This one was from the head of the Detroit chapter, the largest chapter, Jex Blackmore. A lot of them go by pseudonyms. I don't think that one's a legal name. I don't know whether Lilith Star is or not. But a lot of the Satanic Temple members choose to use names for public statements and appearances because they don't want their daily lives connected with Satanism necessarily. The Satanic Temple holds to the basic premise that undue suffering is bad and that which reduces suffering is good. We do not believe in symbolic evil. So I take that as evil is not a person who comes and takes you over. Evil is not a principle outside ourselves that somehow possesses us. Evil is the kind of choice that people make sometimes. And let's try to avoid that. So I'd like to tell you some things about the things they've done, which I think are really cool and sometimes really funny. Probably their most famous action is the Baphomet statue. This is an action by the Detroit chapter. In Oklahoma City at the courthouse, there was a display of the 10 Commandments carved in stone up on the wall. And obviously this is a public display of a religious set of laws. That's not what the United States government's laws are based on. They're based in the Constitution. It was a privately funded display, but it's still on public land representing itself as if that were what the court's based on. So the Satanic Temple found that unacceptable and said, look, if you're going to display this, then we ought to be able to fund a display of our religious principles as well. So we're going to commission this statue. It's really great. It's got a goat-horned Baphomet. He's got he's got these horns. He's got the goat face. He's holding up his hand, and there are 2 small children at his knee waiting to hear his wisdom and get his blessing. Okay, so you've got this very disturbing statue from a Christian perspective. It's nicely done. It's a good art piece. It's about 9 feet tall and made of bronze. They had it commissioned and said, all right, we'd like to install it. Apparently the 10 Commandments was destroyed and not replaced, so they didn't install it. They were perfectly happy with this outcome. And there's been some discussion of should we have it installed somewhere else, and so far as I've seen, they haven't come up with another place that would be equally appropriate to go, let's install this. So this is a very concrete and headline-ready way to challenge basically religious oppression. If we're having Christian values pushed out to the forefront in the public sphere, I think that's a great way to challenge it. That was, let's see, the 10 Commandments was originally installed in 2012, and then it was taken down several years later after the Baphomet sculpture brouhaha. In Belle Plaine, Minnesota, there's a veterans cemetery that in recent years installed a metal sculpture that's a silhouette of a kneeling soldier in front of a cross. And again, they looked at that and went, this isn't appropriate because this is supposedly representing all our veterans. It's not an individual's memorial. It's supposed to be a memorial to all the veterans. Not all the veterans are Christian. This isn't okay. But if they are going to install this, then we should be able to install a satanic veterans memorial. So again, they had a piece of art commissioned. It's a large metal cube, about yay big, I think, from the pictures, with an inverted pentagram on each of the 4 sides and an empty helmet sitting up on the top. Again, there have been a lot of people going, you can't put that in the cemetery. It's like, why not? You take out the Christian one, put in this one or the other. And then there's the after-school Satan clubs. They have these clubs in 9 cities around the country, including in Tacoma. These are all public schools that have Christian clubs right after school. It's a little different with the ones that are, hours later. There are a lot of different activities that can go on in a school off hours, but the activities that are immediately after school are kind of privileged by being connected with school in that way. And at some of the schools, there have been arguments about what is allowed to be put right after school, and Christian clubs were being given preference over other kinds of clubs that might be considered religious. So the Satanic Temple put together after-school Satan clubs, which they have these jolly little figures of a horned, bearded man as their logo, to be nice and scary and Satan's coming for your kids. What they actually do is teach critical thinking and scientific principles, and all this good stuff that we'd like them to be teaching in school anyway, but they connect that with the principles of Satanism as they interpret it. So I think it's both good content and a good way of fighting Christian Christian supremacy. Currently, I asked Lilith about this. I asked how many kids actually attend the Tacoma after-school program. She said 1. So it's not so much about how many kids attend as the being able to establish it legally and bringing up the visibility of, hey, it's not okay to be saying you can have Christian clubs but nothing else. And indeed, they've gotten so much news coverage over things like the Baphomet statue and the Veterans Memorial and the after-school Satan clubs that the local chapter is no longer accepting new members for a while because they've gotten such a flood that they feel like they have to back off and come up with a new process and kind of let people in a little more slowly. So it really has been getting attention on their issues. One of the fun things they did a pink mass, which was the Westboro Baptist Church, I'm sure you all know they're the group that pickets everybody's funerals as an anti-gay thing, regardless of anybody's connections to gayness or having ever done anything wrong in their lives. Well, in response to the Westboro Baptist Church's announcement that they were going to picket the funerals of the victims of the Boston Marathon bombing, which is a vile thing to do, the Satanic Temple held a ritual to turn Fred Phelps post-mortem gay. They held a ritual over his grave in which two men kissed and they chanted some stuff and they said, now he's gay. Which is funny. And it's about as absurd as the Mormon Church's post-mortem conversions of people to Mormonism who clearly weren't Mormon. And it's kind of a funny way of turning the hate back on itself, but being funny. And another one of their efforts is the Protect Children Project, which is primarily in the South. We don't have corporal punishment in schools here, but a lot of places in the country it is still legal for teachers to paddle students in public school. They hit them with a paddle or a bare hand up even through high school. So they've put up billboards in a lot of places letting kids know that they can refuse to be hit in school on religious grounds. They can declare themselves Satanists and say it is against my religion to be hit in school, and they can run a lawsuit. So they have these big black billboards with the goat head on them saying, kids, never be hit in school again. And again, it draws attention to the issue, brings it up for kids and parents, and gets people upset and talking about it in ways that bring out some of these issues. A few other things they've done fundraising for Planned Parenthood, counter-protests when clinics are being picketed, supporting Muslim refugees. When the Pope sanctified Junipero Serra, they conducted a ceremony demonizing him as an instrument of genocide. They did a pentagram ritual over a city where a candidate had declared a Christian ritual and had somebody had a skywriter make a big cross over the city, only the cross ended up upside down, so they went, oh hey, and they did a big ceremony with a pentacle around the city. And they've done lots of donation gathering, food banks, things like that. Adopt a highway, they did some fundraising, but they didn't actually get enough money to adopt a highway in New York City, because that costs a lot of money apparently. So that's what they're about, and it seemed to me like their efforts and perspectives are really similar to our churches, except for the fact that we kind of like to be seen as a normal part of the range of religious belief, and they kind of want to stay out there as shock value. When they are accepting members again, you might look at their website and check it out. Their church starts at 2 p.m. on Sundays, so somebody could go to both. They have a couple upcoming local public events. One of them is a potluck picnic on July 23rd, and one of them is a music show fundraising for national reproductive rights called the 9 Circles of Hell, and that's in August. So if you want more information about them, you can check out their website, thesatanictemple.com, or thesatanictempleseattle.com for the specific local events.